We always said great things don't come from comfort zones.
I think that if I were to explain Tommy to you guys in college, like the first thing comes to mind, free spirit.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I want kids now.
Crazy, huh? So
Jose.
fast that we're standing on.
Exactly.
On this side.
What rapper can you find in a toolbox?
No MSR. Sorry, guys.
People. ASMR.
ASMR. So I said it right?
No.
ASMR.
Okay, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Win Wednesday, where we upload an episode every week. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to the podcast. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Tommy Nguyen. And for those who are returning, you may have noticed that Sopa is not on right now. And I have my good friend here, Nikko Sadural. He is with me today. And Sopa is our producer right now. So she's the person behind the camera, setting all those things up. And today I brought him in because he's got some exciting things going on in his life right now that I'm genuinely curious about. And you may have already read the title. And so I'm really excited to dive in and just, talk to Nikko and ask him questions about like fatherhood, right? Because right now I'm currently not a father. And Nikko, his wife and Sopa, they're best friends. And so we actually met, before we dive into it, we actually met at Purdue, so in college, and we met through mutual friends, and yeah, pretty much the rest is history.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then our wives are best friends, so, we're always hanging out whenever we can. It's always a good time when we're with you.
I'm excited to be here. I'm a loyal listener of your podcast.
Yes. Nikko
excited
is
to be here.
Definitely a loyal listener. Every time we hang out, he's like, "Man, I really liked what you said about this or said about that." And one thing, kind of a random fact, I found out that Nikko is an Enneagram 5. So we're both 5s. And one thing that we learned, at least, or for me that I learned, sometimes Enneagram 5s talk too much or they don't talk enough. So I don't know what you'll get in this episode today, but we're going to dive right on into it. So Nikko, you are pregnant with your wife and it's been 8 months, right?
Sounds about right.
Kind of close, about 8 months. 36 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know how all this works. 8 months.
I don't
weeks.
either. We're at the end of it. I still don't know how it works.
The baby is due at the end of August, right? Today. Yep. So we have a couple more weeks to go. Mm-hmm. And so I just had a few questions for you. So how did you know when you were like ready to be a dad?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't know if I had a defining moment where I felt ready. I think we found out we were pregnant, and it was a process of just becoming ready, or just getting to a point where I felt like I was at peace, that I was going to be a dad, and just kind of accept that and just embrace it. I think the beginning was a lot of nerves and not feeling prepared. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone's really prepared, really. Mm-hmm. And then just coming to terms with that and just really just owning it. Just saying, okay, I'm going to be a dad and I'm going to be the best dad I can be.
Yeah, so just kind of like embracing the change, right? Like you know this is going to happen and pretty much, I mean, you can't do anything about it, right? It's going to happen, and just kind of embracing that.
Exactly.
And it's like, hey, just kind of let God, just follow God's plan for your life and, do the best you can, right? Prepare the best you can.
Yeah.
And speaking about preparing, so I know, for us as Enneagram 5s, we tend to be researchers, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know we've talked back and forth about like the research like that you're doing and have been doing. What are some things that you've learned maybe that was interesting to you in terms of like parenthood or preparing for, of having a baby?
Yeah. I think so. First of all, something I have to say is I have a lot of respect for moms and pregnant women, just because they have to go through so much that we as men don't have to go through. So I just have to say props to you women out there and moms. And I think something that I've learned just about parenthood, I guess in general, is something that I've learned is as fathers, we really got to step it up and be there for the mothers. And just support them. I think it's important to understand every step of the way through the pregnancy, what the process is, and what they're going through, so that you can support them better. But I guess in terms of being a father, what have I learned? I've learned so much, man.
And you've been taking classes, right, as well?
Yeah.
They're what classes are they? What are they called?
So we take a lot of prenatal classes. So classes about how the baby's going to sleep, how you can expect their sleeping cycle to be like, feeding the baby, options for feeding like breastfeeding or formula. Just things like that. Breathing classes, especially for the labor and delivery for the mother. Like I mentioned, just understanding the process so that you can be a better supporter of your partner through the whole thing. I think one of the things that really surprised me the most was how often baby's gonna have to be awake and to feed the baby. I think this is not medical advice. This is just things that I've learned, and you'll have to verify. But I think every 2 to 3 hours, you're gonna want to feed your baby. And then it clicked in my head, like, oh wait, that means we're gonna have to wake up in the middle of the night to feed the baby. And it's gonna be a fun journey of fatherhood for sure.
And does that happen like the first year, first couple of years? Is that the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think that's like the first year. It's just nonstop, just waking up every 3 hours to feed your baby. I think it's going to be great. Like with Jackie, we're going to be an awesome team.
That's awesome. And I love you said that team, because I think it is like very much like a teamwork type of thing, right? Like you have this brand new human being. When I think about babies, it's so weird to me because like I'm so scared of babies, and like I'm scared to touch them. I'm scared to hold them, especially like the newborns. Like when you guys have your baby, don't be offended if I don't like touch your baby. It's more of a me thing. It's not you guys. It's me. I just get scared. But just thinking about taking care of like a whole another human being, right? That can't take care of themselves, and making that sacrifice to wake up at like 4 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever time it is, to feed the baby or to change the diaper, whatever it is. So yeah, it's definitely, I think it's going to be a change, right? I don't have any kids yet, so I don't know, right? I can't give you any advice because I'm not a dad myself. But that's cool. Okay. And I loved how you talked about like supporting the women too. So supporting your wife, supporting the moms, and because they go through so much, right? Their body changes dramatically over the course of about 9 months or so, and then they go through labor. I know Sopa always tells me, she's like, "You're so lucky. You're not a girl. Like you're so lucky. You don't have to go through all these things." And I'm like, I feel you. I hear you, and I support you wherever I can, right? And it's like. We were born males, like we can't help it, right?
And that's how it is, man.
Yeah, it's just how it is, and it's not my fault. Like, don't get mad at me. Sometimes that's how I feel, and but yeah, she reminds me, and I think about it, like I want to support you as much as I can, and I know you're supporting Jackie, with everything, and getting through it together, and like you said, like as a team. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. It's really brought us closer in our relationship together. Just preparing for this mother and father role for our son. I think it's just really brought us closer together, and yeah, we're really excited, man.
Man, I'm excited for you guys. No, it's super exciting because it's so close too. And actually, Jackie's sitting right off camera. We can just see her. She's ready to go. She's ready to go. But so growing up, let's talk about your family a little bit. Are you the oldest, youngest? Are you like the middle child?
I am the second oldest.
Second oldest. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five children. That's right. And then
I have to count it every time, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget anyone.
Okay, so fourth, or I guess second oldest. So yeah, second. Okay, I'm trying to do the numbers in my head. So are you the first in your family to have a child?
No.
No. Okay.
No. So my older sister has a son.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's awesome. We love him, and he gives us so much joy. And back in Indiana, just getting to watch him grow up for a little bit was super fun. Now we're in California, so we don't get to see them as often, but they send pictures and videos and stuff, so we love watching him grow up. And so we're excited for him to have a cousin?
Yeah, I think cousin. Right? Yeah, siblings.
Yeah. And they're going to be pretty close in age.
Okay.
So yeah, we're excited for that.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. And then like, how did your parents react when you told them the news?
Oh, man. They were super excited. I know they've been waiting. I mean, they have my nephew already, but they were really excited for us to, They were just really excited.
That's awesome. And then, so you have your older sister already has a son, so you're the first boy in the family. Do you think that makes like a difference at all?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends. But it is my dad's first like grandson. by
Okay,
blood. So
gotcha.
my parents were, my mom was divorced and remarried. So it's, first on my dad's side. So I know he's really excited for that.
Gotcha.
Too. Yeah.
That's so cool. Every time I FaceTime my dad, I don't know if it's because like at the age I'm at in my life right now.
Yeah.
But he's always telling me after like right before our call ends, he's like, I'm waiting for a grandson. Like I'm just waiting. I'm like, I know you tell me every time.
Yeah, it's pressure's real, man.
Oh yeah. And then so we actually haven't talked about this in the episode, but are you having a boy or a girl?
Oh yeah. I think I mentioned it already.
Oh, did you?
I think I said the word son.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, we're having
So
a
I might have missed
boy.
it then.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if Jackie mentioned it in an earlier podcast too.
Oh, okay. Maybe she did.
Yeah.
They're nodding their heads. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
okay, Nico and Jackie's having a boy.
Yes, we're excited.
Team,
We're
two
excited
people.
for a boy.
Yeah. So how do you feel when you heard the news? You know that it was a boy. Like, did you want a boy before, or do you want girls? Or like what's that whole thought process look like for you?
Oh,
Do you want all boys, or do you want like kind of a mix?
Honestly, we're happy with either.
Mm-hmm.
We would have been happy with either. I think I personally got excited for a boy just because I'm a guy and I'm excited for that father-son relationship.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a little bit more relatable just because, growing up a boy, you kind of know what to expect, through just being a kid, through adolescence and growing into a man, like an adult. I think that helps you kind of just prepare for how you want to be as a father because you know how you were growing up. So you kind of just have in your mind already how you're going to be a father for your son.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think
That's
we were
really
excited
cool.
for that. And a daughter, I would have been happy with a daughter too, and my wife is probably laughing at me right now because she knows that she probably doesn't think that's true, but it is. And funny story, my uncle, he really wanted a son. So he had his first child and ended up with a daughter. And he said, okay, we love her. Let's go for another one and see if we can have a son.
Yeah.
End up with another daughter.
All right.
And then they were like, okay, third time's a charm. They had another child, another daughter.
Oh, 3.
Then they went for the fourth one and said, okay, God's going to bless us with a son. 4 daughters.
Whoa. 4 girls.
4 daughters, which is always a blessing too,
Oh yeah,
Always a
for
blessing.
sure. Man, 4 girls. Are they trying for a 5th? Do you know?
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
No.
4.
That's
and
it.
Then, okay, got it. And how many have you thought about? Like how many kids you want, or are you just kind of letting that be up in the air?
I think that's changed. I think every time you've asked me or if anybody asked me and Jackie that question, I feel like it's changed over time. Because I know at first, my answer, if you asked me like, I don't know, a year ago or so, I would have said 2 or 3 kids. And then me and Jackie have talked about it. Maybe like 5 kids. A big family sounds good. And then, when our baby gets here, our son gets here, that could change again.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this is a lot. Like maybe 1 or 2. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. And it could, because after you have your first one, then they might kind of influence a little bit how you kind of see the rest, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Because you come from, I would say, a bigger family, 5 kids, right? Jackie as well, a bigger family. Like I come from a smaller family. And I know Pashi comes from a decent sized family as well. And I know we've talked in the past and, we've said she wants like a smaller family. And I actually want a bigger family. And I wonder if it's because I grew up in a smaller family. So that's why I want a bigger family. But you guys both grew up in bigger families and possibly might want more kids, like a big family as well.
Yeah, I
That's
think
really
so.
cool.
I grew up with 4 other siblings, and I grew up with a bunch of cousins. At one point we were all just living under one roof too, like with all our other cousins. So we just love having a big family. Like they're your first friends before you even meet friends outside of the household. And there's nothing like that brother-sister bond too. So I think we want that for our kids. So I think we're definitely going to have a couple. We're going to try and we'll see where it goes, man.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Because, I mean, and no offense to the only childs out there, but I think like when only childs do grow up, sometimes it can be hard socially, right? When you don't have like the older sister or younger sister or brother, to just play with, right? To hang out with, and you grow up, and then you make your first friends like when you go to school, maybe preschool, kindergarten. But when you do have that sibling, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
You get to kind of socialize, like kind of learn. I'm not saying only childs don't have social skills, but this is me just kind of thinking out loud. But it's like you kind of develop those like early on.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, when I think about it, it would be nice to have your kids to have siblings.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I definitely loved the relationships I had with my siblings growing up, and now too. But yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And then, do you think that changes over time as well? Like growing up, so I have siblings too. When you're younger, your relationship with your siblings compared to now.
Oh yeah, way different now, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think we've each grown into our individual personalities and just kind of taken different paths in life. Yeah, I would say it's definitely going to change over time, and it's up to, I think, the individual to maintain that relationship. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And do you think it's changed, for the good? Like, has it grown into something better than when you were younger? Or do you think it's kind of like, or maybe it's kind of the same?
Yeah, I think it's grown into what it's meant to be. I think I'm probably a little bit more distant with my siblings now, just because geographically we're like on the other side. Maybe not the opposite side of the country, but we're pretty far. But I mean, we still catch up every now and then, which is nice. But I'll say this, like every time we get back together and we hang out, it feels like we haven't missed a beat. So I think that's really cool.
That's so
when you
good.
can really relate in that way.
Yeah, because they're back in Indiana.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. So it's the same for us as well, right? We're both we're pretty similar in that, because my family's back in Indiana. We're both in California now, right?
Yeah.
With our wives. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So, as we're going through this fatherhood thing, I keep thinking, I'm like, do you have any piece of advice for someone thinking about becoming a dad, maybe, or a couple, right, or becoming parents even, thinking about it, or maybe they are pregnant, with their first child? Are there any advice or suggestions that you would want to let our audience know, when it comes to that?
Oh man, yeah. I remember just before we even considered or jumped into, having a kid or trying to get pregnant, I remember in my mind, like, my mentality was so different. Like, I was very career focused. I was really focused on how I could grow myself individually and, my marriage with Jackie, and that's great. But something really clicked in my head and really checked me in my mentality and how I was really focusing, like what I was focusing on in my life. And so when Jackie asked me the question, like, you ready to have kids? Like, I mean, now's the time. I mean, I don't know what it was, but just something clicked in me. And when we decided, like, yes, let's try and have kids at this point, I don't know what drove me to say yes, but we said yes, let's do this. Our parents were maybe in a different financial situation than us, and they were a lot younger than us. So I think that gave us a lot of comfort in just saying, yes, let's take this on.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I think just accepting that maybe we don't feel ready for it, but I don't think anyone ever feels ready to have a kid, and just accepting that and stepping into it. Right? And trusting God that he's going to provide and take care of us through all of it. I think that was a big step. So I think the big takeaway for me is we weren't necessarily feeling all too ready, but we felt that we were going to be taken care of and be able to provide for our kids.
That's good.
So, just stepping into that and knowing that it's going to be okay.
Nice. That's kind of like what we were talking about a little bit earlier, right? Like you were mentioning earlier, just kind of stepping into it, kind of embracing, that change that's going to come.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I know we also have a lot of like single listeners and I think listeners who are dating right now as well. What would you say to, like, let's say our single people or people who are dating who aren't married yet, right? I still, in my very personal opinion, if you're dating, I still consider you like single, because you're not really you're not married, right?
Sure.
So when you file your taxes, you're running single. So if you're dating, you're still single. What would you say to those people? Because obviously they're not having a kid. Well, I mean, maybe not. I can't assume that. Maybe you're single and you're having a kid. You know, that's your story. But what would you say to those people who are listening right now in terms of like maybe even dating advice? We might get into that a little bit, right? Like, what would you say to those single listen singleness? I don't. What am I trying to say,
Singles?
Nico? Our singles, yeah, our singles people.
Single people.
What would you tell them when it comes to like, let's just say dating?
Yeah. Okay, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for my wife. I was just in a different mentality in terms of what I was looking for when I was dating other people.
Yeah.
And I think what's important is to understand what you're really going for here. And I didn't really come to my faith until I guess relatively recently, but dating before that just felt very, I don't know. I just felt kind of, I don't want to say pointless, maybe aimless. I don't know.
Like there was like no direction.
No
like
direction.
There wasn't like maybe like a destination you're trying to go, you know, with this person.
Yeah. And so when I think of dating intentionally, I think of marriage as maybe not the end goal, but the next milestone in life. So dating, considering marriage, and being very intentional about it and understanding that, do I want to, just asking the question, can I see myself with this person for the rest of my life? And that doesn't have to be something you think about on the first date. You know?
Yeah. Like
you're like pressure.
You're having a date, right? You're on a date. Am I going to marry this person? Can I see myself marrying this person right now?
Yeah.
Because that can be kind of hard, right? You've just met them, and that might be a little like forward, right? To start thinking about that right away. But I really like that, like the word you use is like intentional dating. Because growing up for me, like when in college, right, I wasn't I wasn't a believer then. And so for me, like dating, it was kind of like, I want to say almost like pointless as well, because I wasn't being intentional about it. And really for me, my intentions were just having fun. Like I was just down, to have fun and just to hang out. And so for Sopa and I, that could be a reason why we dated for 6 years before we actually got married, right? And, thinking about it, it was kind of almost aimless. Like there was that one show we watched last night, that YouTube, Wong Fu Productions.
Oh, Strangers Again.
Yeah.
Wong Fu Productions. Yeah.
And so we were just kind of just dating, and we didn't really have intentions of like getting married, right? And it was almost as if we got to like that comfortable stage, I think they talked about, or the content stage. Like we were just content, coexisting in the same, living in the same place and just like doing things, but it became almost like, and that was it. Right.
Yeah.
And it almost became like stagnant in a way where we didn't think about marriage until a little bit later, 6 years. And I don't know if that feels long or like, man, like 6 years, how did you do it type of thing. But when I tell people that, like, whoa, you guys dated for a while before getting married. Because when you're dating Jackie, how long did you guys date before you guys got married?
Ooh, we started dating after I got out of school in 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you guys got married 2 years, almost 3 years.
About 2 years ago.
Because you guys got married like right after we did, like just like a few months.
As I'm looking at my wife for reassurance.
Oh, man. I'm putting ourselves on the spot right now. Now that I just realized that.
It's okay. I got the right answer, so
our
it's
wives
okay.
are laughing at us right now. I asked the wrong question.
No, I love it, man.
So what was it?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. Coming
of marriage. Yeah.
Of marriage. So you started dating in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my math is so off. And then got married in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So
about
dated
3
for
years.
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's like a solid like kind of time frame. There's no real time, like ideal time frame, but I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to like the single people, you're talking about intentional dating. Another thought that came to my mind as we're talking about this is like once you move into like that marriage stage, and so we took premarital counseling, and we did it with our pastor. And one thing that he told me that really hit home for me was intentional marriage as well, right? So you have intentional dating, and then you guys date, and then you get married. But then the intentional marriage part, And that really hit me because he's like, okay, once you like when you get married, look at your marriage, you know, not at like 100-foot view, but look at it in like 100,000-foot view. Like what you want to do, you know, where you want to take your marriage 50 years from now, 60 years from now. And I'm like, man, that is so good.
Yeah.
And it made me think about like how to be really intentional about that. So it brings up another question. I know I talked to you about this a little bit before the podcast. It's like, so when you do have a child, and like you mentioned before, like, you know, the baby has to be fed every 2 to 3 hours, I think you said, right? And so your life and your priorities basically become about your child. And then over time, you're going to have your child under your roof of the house for at least 18 years, right?
Yeah.
For about 18 years, or, you know, it depends on the family. But when your life becomes that, and then when your child goes off to college and they graduate and maybe they get married, right? And you become like empty nesters, let's say. And sometimes, like I've heard stories where people, like their whole life just becomes their children. And then once their children leaves, it's almost like an empty marriage because they don't know what a healthy marriage looks like anymore because they've been so focused on the child for so long.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something if you've already thought about that.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, that's loaded, man. Everything you just said, so true. I think, yeah, starting off with what you said in the beginning about just your mentality just changes. And I think I mentioned this earlier. Maybe I didn't really finish up the thought, but yeah, like I mentioned, it's very career focused and very focused on our marriage. And I think as soon as we knew this baby was on the way, just something clicked for both me and Jackie. Like, okay, we're going to do this together. We're going to raise this child together. And yeah, our marriage is important. We're going to hold us each other accountable and keep that first. But I think it's just going to be a whole another lesson in life for us and what that looks like to be a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
And definitely taking the focus off of the career. I think that's probably one thing that I've been struggling with as I jump back into my career. And now I kind of have to take a step back and just kind of being okay with that and accepting that, and not just accepting it, but like stepping into it.
Yeah, I love that you said like step into it. I love that kind of that key word. And right now it feels like you're like in the almost like transition phase, right? And you talked about like taking your focus off your career, like your priority of your career, and transitioning your focus in this season of your life, on your child. And that's so good because I feel that so much. And being career focused, right? And I think like at our age, like we graduate from school and we're out, we're doing our thing, and we just want to do well and use our degrees and basically make it in life, right? And work hard, and we can become very, very career focused, because I feel that so much, because that's how I feel right now. Like I feel like I'm just so you and I both, we just have that ambition, and we want to do well, we want to do good, and we want to continue to improve and basically continue climbing, right, in our careers. And that's so good that you're able to have that awareness and then kind of take a step back from it. And I think I like to say seasons of life too. I love that phrase because it means it's not forever, right? You may focus on your child in this season, whether that's for the next 5 years, but you can always come back and reprioritize maybe your career later on. And then you have a child, and that will always be one of your top priorities, if not the top. And actually, I have a question right now, and this might put you on the spot. So when you have a child, I know I've talked to Sopa about this a little bit. It's so you have your child, right?
Yep.
You have a boy coming, but then you also have your wife.
Oh.
So then who is? I don't want to get you in trouble right now, because our wives are sitting right there.
No, you're good. You're good.
But
this is good stuff.
But how would you prioritize that, right? Let's say your son needs something, but then your wife also needs something.
Sure. Oh, I guess it's very situational. Okay, so
it is.
I'll give like my approach to this.
Okay.
This is something that me and Jackie have talked about too. And we're very just like aware of how we're gonna approach this. But we're reading this thing called You and Me Forever right now, and we're only in the first couple chapters, but it's kind of just helped us kind of recenter our marriage and just focus on our faith. So one of the really key things that stuck out to us in that book, or to me, was what your priorities should be, what that list should look like in your head. And it actually has the 3 things that you listed,
Oh, really?
and some other things, but this is a great reference for me and to keep me centered on, what's important. So number one, God.
Yes.
So God, number one. Number two, wife. Number three, or I don't know if it's later on, but kids.
Kids. Yep.
And I truly believe in that. And of course, it's going to be situational. I mean, you could come up with so many different scenarios.
Yeah.
And you'll just have to, I don't know, play it by ear in that moment. But overall, I believe that God comes first, wife, and then kids.
That's so good. That's so good. So like just in general, those are like the top priorities.
Yeah.
And even in order, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so good too, because when I think back about marriage, right, it's like your child will grow up and they'll eventually, kind of create their own life. And then who do you have after that? You're going to have your wife. And as long as we keep our wives before our kids, they're still going to love us, right? They're still going to be there for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to think about it that way. I mean, at a certain point, you're going to walk through life with your kids. They're going to reach a certain age where they're going to become adults and they're going to be independent, and then they're going to go off on their own. And you're just going to pray that everything you did with them and everything that you've taught them is going to help lead the way for them, and make some good decisions down the line. But then at the end of the day, you're there again with your wife, and it's like, okay, back to hopefully not square one. Then that's why I think that order matters with God, your wife, your kids.
And like you mentioned earlier too, like being a team. I mean, you're gonna have to work with Jackie to take care of your baby. And I don't know if we mentioned the name of your son.
Oh yeah,
in the podcast at all. So you want to share that with our viewers?
Of course, I'd love to share that. So our baby's name, our son's name, is gonna be Keone. Yeah, Keone. And it's gonna be mispronounced and misspelled throughout his whole lifetime.
Make sure to follow him at Keone 2021.
Keone 2021.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Maybe he hasn't. Does he have an Instagram already?
Oh no, he
not
doesn't.
yet. Okay. Not yet.
Yeah, we're excited. So Keone, awesome. Funny story behind that name. That's just a name that Jackie and I have kind of joked around would be a really cool name years ago if we ever had a kid.
Yeah. Okay.
And one year I got Jackie like a stuffed, I don't know if it was a Build-A-Bear or something, and we named it Keone.
Oh yeah.
And we still have it to this day. So
that's cool.
I don't know what we're gonna do with the stuffed bear Keone now. If it's gonna be weird, we have a son Keone, and
you could change the bear's name probably.
Yeah, we can do that.
Or
it's just a bear.
Or twins, but one's a teddy bear. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's cool. And then so Keone, I know, and we also have talked about this a little bit. There's like a meaning behind that, right? Like Keone means something. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I think number one, it sounded really cool, and it also
it does.
Sounds a lot like my name, which I think is really cool. But Keone, I think. Oh man, you'll have to Google it. You'll have to double check this, but I think it sounds Hawaiian because I think it's Hawaiian, but I think it means like homeland or home. And I'm sure there's other meanings behind it, but that's what I remember. And I don't know. We thought about this just because my grandma on my mom's side moved from the Philippines to Hawaii, so we have ties there. My dad's dad lives there.
That's cool.
Yeah, we just thought it would be really cool.
Nice. And then was it like a long process? Did you guys do like a process of elimination when you guys were deciding the name of your son? Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've gone through like different apps and different websites for like name generators or like common biblical names or like just cool names. And then I think we probably came up with a couple other cool ones. Can't remember them because none of them are as cool as Keone. But that one just stuck, so we just had to go with Keone.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that name.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys were telling me when you guys were deciding on names, you guys said like, I think this is like Filipino culture maybe, where you combine your guys' names for, is it for the first child? Do you want to explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for the first child, but I will say we had a hard time combining Jacqueline and Nikko. We couldn't really think of a good one. Well, I think Keone does a good job with that, right? The Jackie.
Yeah, Keone, and you have the K, Nikko.
Yeah.
K,
yeah, I think it does a pretty decent job.
Yeah, and then you guys who are listening or watching actually on YouTube, if you have any And I don't. This is not going to influence Nico at all to change the baby's name because that's set and done.
There's still time. I don't know.
I mean, I guess
kidding.
there's a couple weeks off because it's not official until you tell the nurse, right?
Until we sign the
birth certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you come up with a really good one.
Yeah. Combining Jacqueline, you said, and Nico.
No, we're gonna stick.
When
with
I said
Kyo,
that, I was trying to think of like something off the top of my head, but I can't. I was thinking like J Nico. No, I'm not gonna try. It's too hard.
Chico.
It's too hard for me right now.
Yeah.
Chico.
Naki.
Yeah. That is too funny. Cool. So I have one more, just last question for you before we sign off today. You know, what's one thing you're looking forward to about being a dad?
Oh man. I guess okay. One really short term thing that I'm excited for is the first time holding him. Like that moment, I won't even be prepared for it. I already know this, and neither will Jackie. People have described it, and it's just no one can describe it really with words really well. So I'm just really excited for that moment. I guess in terms of fathering and being a parent, I think I'm just excited to spend time with him and just just every day, like I don't know, going out for food or just hanging out, just playing with him. I think just being with him, just spending time with him.
Quality time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your love language? Can you remind me?
Oh, my love language? Quality time. You nailed it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, the way you're describing, what you're looking forward to.
Yeah.
It kind of made sense.
It makes a lot of sense now. Wow.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Nico.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, guys. For those of you who are watching or listening, if you made it this far, thank you so much. It means so much to us. It means so much to Nico, so much to Sopa. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe down below, that red button down here. And then if you are wherever you're at in your life right now, comment down below and just let us know maybe like one life change that you're going through that if you feel comfortable to share, we would love to know and connect with you guys. So it's a win-win podcast. And my name is Tommy Nguyen. This is so weird doing this outro because usually I have Sopa here. She helps me do the outro. Actually, Nico, you could do the outro with me. All right.
All right.
So I'm going to say it's a win-win podcast. And then I'm like, my name is Tommy Nguyen. And you say your name. And then we'll peace out.
All right.
All right. So it's a win-win podcast. And my name is Tommy Nguyen.
My name is Nikko Sadural.
And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.